It's that time of year again, teachers. It's raining, the flowers are coming out, bees are positively buzzing. It's spring, which means it's spring fever time again with our students. This can be a hard time of year for students and for teachers to get into any kind of lesson. But one thing that helps is getting outside, but sometimes that's not possible. So with Google, we can get students outside without ever leaving their Chromebook. Today we're going to explore some lessons from Applied Digital Skills, Google Earth, Google Maps, and a great thing called Pollinator Pathmakers. It's time to get Googley Spring Fever Edition, everyone. All right, educators, the first Google application we're going to look at today is Google My Maps. Now you can find this by going to google.com/maps/about/mymaps, or my favorite is just going to Google and searching My Maps. This is already on your account and it's on your student's account, and basically it's a blank Google map that allows you to build your own custom maps. I'm going to go ahead and click started, and I can go ahead and hit create a new map. Once I'm in there, you notice that I have a brand new Google map. I can import layers of data from any source, including Google Sheets. I can add different layers. Across the top here, I can select items just by moving things around. I can add a place marker wherever I drop this and add a point and description and photos. I can also add video once I'm in here as well. So if I go ahead and add images or video, I can search YouTube, or I can grab my webcam all the way across. Or I can draw shapes, one of my favorite things. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line or a shape. Maybe I just want to outline the state of Utah. So I can just draw a few points. Boom, boom. This is very rough, but that's okay. And what's great about this is it creates a polygon that now tells me the square miles and the distance around the perimeter, and I can move it around and compare shapes as well to different locations on the globe. What's great about this particular tool, folks, is that it allows us to create our own maps, and so students could go ahead and jump out to all sorts of places around the world and plan a dream vacation, locations they want to visit across the world, maybe great places for spring flowers or for fall leaves or whatever it is that you're working on. But it's a great way to combat spring fever by thinking about what's going on outside of their classroom. The second place that we can go to is Google Earth. All right, number 2, folks, is very similar to Google My Maps, but this is, if My Maps is your flat world map, Google Earth is your globe. This is a great way to get students thinking about the world around them, especially their local community. So right now I'm hovering over Ogden, Utah, far west Utah, and you can see how beautiful it is. You can see all the mountains and terrain, the water, all those sorts of things. But there's some great ways that we can use Google Earth to combat spring fever. My favorite is kind of like what we did with Google My Maps of creating our own tour. So if we go over to the sidebar here and we hover over this icon right here, it says projects. And this allows us to add all sorts of things to a brand new project that we can create in our Google Drive. And we can add features from all over the world that can also add video or slide decks or all sorts of information that allows us to tell a story, give a tour, or just share what we're excited about out in the world. And so this is a great way to combat spring fever and get students excited. Everything saves in their Google Drive, and it can actually be shared directly to a teacher as well through the share button up at the top. Let's jump over to Google Applied Digital Skills. Over at Google's Applied Digital Skills program, they just shared a lesson that helps students combat spring fever. It's called Design a Pollinator Garden. If you're not sure what a pollinator garden is, it's a garden that supports insects coming into your garden and helping to pollinate both the flowers and fruiting plants and all sorts of stuff. It helps students to create this garden in Google Drawings. There's tons of different materials on here. It's a very short lesson, 45 to 90 minutes, depending on how long the students take to design different features. It includes an entire walkthrough with an explanation of what a pollinator garden is, looking for native plant species, doing your layout, putting it all together in a quiz. And then also over on the teacher material side, it has a lesson plan, sample rubric, certificate of completion, and the ability to download all the videos. If you haven't ever checked out Applied Digital Skills, this is a great time of year to check that out, particularly with this lesson for your students. For our last feature, let's jump over to a Google experiment. For our last Google feature to help combat spring fever, let's check out this Google experiment called Pollinator Pathmaker. It's an artwork for pollinators by Alexandra Daisy Ginsburg. What this allows users to do is to plant a digital pollinator garden that then they can translate over to the real world if they would like. All you do is click Start, and it walks you through what kind of garden you'd like. Sadly, this is only for continental Europe and the United Kingdom, Ireland, those sorts of spaces. But we can pick one of those and experiment a little bit. So I'll grab Northern Belgium. I like that size. I'm going to grab these types of soil and soil pH, some sun. I'm going to grab a little bit of shelter there, hit next. And I want more plant species. I want bold pattern. I want tons of paths, and create my garden. And what that does is it creates that garden from scratch and allows you to explore what kind of plants are within that particular garden. It's a really interesting feature to get students thinking about what kind of plants would attract insects and how it might change, how a garden might change over time. Check out Pollinator Pathmaker by going to pollinator.art/pathmaker. Well, teachers, hopefully you're excited to share some of these tips and ideas with your students. Hopefully it'll help combat spring fever and get students excited to explore the world around them. We'll see you next time on Get Googly.